am gonna say yes. Damn it! I don't twitch right now. This is gonna be a nice little editing podcast. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So, let me start this off with an intro. Deku and All Might receive an invitation to iExpo, the world's leading exhibition of quirk abilities and the hero item innovations. Amid the excitement, sponsors and pros from all over, Deku meets Melissa, a girl who is quirkless just like he once was. Suddenly, iExpo's top-of-the-line security system gets hacked by villains, and a sinister plan is set in motion. It's a serious threat to hero society, and one man holds the key to it all, the symbol of peace, Clark Kent Superman. No, obviously not. Though you could say that's the representation, but All Might, duh, of course. Hey guys, what's up? Lucky Cheese 7 is here today to give you guys a My Hero Academia podcast? Question mark? Yeah, obviously. Why wouldn't I? I mean, it only makes sense given the channel content, right? Right? Yeah. So that's the thing. And obviously, because we are talking about two heroes, or at least I am, because I actually did want to talk about this. I did want to talk about the movie. Time just flew on my hand, and I said, okay, you know what? Let me just wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. And I think it's been I want to say a couple weeks. And I feel like by now, everyone has seen the movie. Those who didn't get a chance to see the theaters, they are able to have a copy on Blu-ray. And now, they've all seen the movie. Hopefully, you have. If you haven't, go watch the movie right now. Or if you just want to be spoiled, don't come here and say, oh no, Lucky Cheese spoiled. Because, I don't know, people do that these days. But, of course, as you guys all know, I can't really do these podcasts by myself. I mean, yes, technically I can, because there are folks out there who do podcasts that just like to talk about themselves. And while that is cool, wouldn't really be much different from those guys. So, of course, I brought with me some special friends and some special guests. Not one or two, three. Brought with me three special friends and guests. So, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Guess I'll go first. It's I, Sparda3g, going first, because we don't know how to order this up. But yeah, we're in a 4-man group now, and we're actually talking about My Hero Academia. I know Lucky Cheese said, we're talking about this? I thought I quit a long time ago. But it's always a special occasion, and this is one of them. So it's good to be back once again, now with the other two crew on his side. So should be fun to hear more opinions than just us two, right, Lucky Cheese?
Hello everyone, Blue Star here, once again joining Lucky Chi for another My Hero Academia podcast. Let's see, I'm sure to have a lot of fun, though granted I feel like For Life and Lucky Chi are going to somehow find a way to curse me.
You've done this to yourself.
Kill the phony!
Oh dear. Anyway, shouldn't it be time for our final guest to introduce him?
As always, this is okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done talking?
Yes.
Very well then. In that case, let me reintroduce myself here. I am LKNMJ, also known as Steve, and it's been a long time since I've guest starred in one of these discussions. November, I think. Last time I was here. And honestly, I thought Blue Star was going to go first because his microphone wasn't muted.
I usually wait for For Life to go first. That just seems to be the recurring habit we have in the Manga Wars podcasts.
Yeah, it's harder because you got other guests now. It's you got 4 people. So who's going to go first? 1, 2, or 3? So who's person 1? Who's person 2? Who's person 3? Who's going first? So that's a mix-up that was pretty much set enough to happen, and it did. So I just ended up going for it because, man, like Blue Star said, I usually go first because I don't know, I just end up due. So why not?
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe next podcast we'll shake up the formula.
Probably. You probably will. Who knows? Could happen. But given how we're doing a movie podcast, which I think is a first.
Let's see.
I think it's a first that we're tackling a movie this time.
Well, I believe you and Four Life did a Boruto podcast on his channel, but other than that, but yeah, this is the first on your channel.
And given that how we're talking about a movie, it's like, all right, so how is the structure going to be? Given how that's kind of a system I have going on when it comes to doing these, outside of like chapter podcasts, because that is a thing now. So, in terms of the movie, in terms of how the structure is going to be, we're going to go down through first impressions, positive and negatives, overall thoughts, and expectations for movie 2, because that is a thing now. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. And Blue Star, do not summarize everything.
All right, fine.
Swear to Christ, if you summarize everything, I'm gonna find a way to shoot you.
Well, look at this way. If he does end up summarized, we could get our dinner ready and be like, all right, we're done with dinner. Oh, Blue Star, you're ready. Are you done? Good.
I still got my box of pizza just sitting right here, so I'll be like, okay. Just keep.
Here's a summary. Midoriya, along with All Might, travel to like a floating island where he signed.
I'm actually going for this. What the?
Well, if you want, I could give a brief summary where Midoriya and All Might are traveling to a artificial island, which scientists create technology for heroes. During which to reunite with All Might's old friend. During which Midoriya and some of his classmates, while exploring the island, are attacked by a group of villains here to steal something that belongs to the scientists. Can Midoriya and his friends beat the bad guys and save the hero? And the scientists might actually go for the rest of the movie. There you go. There's your summary.
And here's my gun to your face.
Sorry.
Can you hear me shooting you?
That was more a synopsis. That was more of a synopsis than a summary. What happened? Where's you lost your touch? You lost your touch
holes in your body yet?
How could you
No.
be like this?
Well, simple. You guys keep complaining about my 10-minute summaries. I'd give you a 2-minute.
No.
Now, Steve, I see you've become gun obsessed like every American.
What a racist!
I find that racist. I call that racist.
It's
You know what? You know what?
Oh yeah.
This is my responsibility. There. Why not?
Okay, alright, I'll take it back. Only half of you Americans are gun obsessed.
That's not hopeful. Good job.
Fine, whatever, I apologize for any offense.
Anyway, but what happened? Your summary is like it lost its touch. It used to be like so informative and very detailed. Now it's like all out of touch. It's like all of a sudden you become like the series, just losing its quality every chapter by going by. What happened, Blue Star?
Make up your mind. You want a short summary or a long summary?
Well, first of all, you said we complained about your 10-minute summary. I don't remember complaining about 10-minute summary ever. I just remember complaining about 30 minutes because that's all it was in the first place. I never have a 10 minutes. What 10 minutes? 10 minutes? You're being generous of yourself.
Oh God.
So, anywho, first impression.
Yeah. The first, that's where we're about to dabble into first, is the first impressions. So, Steve, I know you were about to just start, so go right ahead.
Well, first time I watched this movie was obviously the sub version, because the English version didn't come out yet, or at the very least, I didn't see the English version in theaters. That's another thing. They actually released this movie in theaters. Usually over here in America, you just get Dragon Ball Z in theaters, and that's it. Maybe a Yu-Gi-Oh movie.
Didn't Naruto Road to Ninja get it?
But never anything else.
It did.
Like I said, never anything else. I kid, of course. But anyway, so seeing it, It was an average movie. It wasn't it wasn't groundbreaking in terms of anime storytelling, but the action was nice. It wasn't too boring. There wasn't a lot of noise to it. The character development was good, although if you're a moviegoer like me, you could pretty much guess who the bad guy was going to be right off the bat. I like the movie characters that were introduced, like Melissa. I like David. I even like the surprise cameo of Godzilla. No, I'm sorry, Godzilla, because copyright's a thing now. Apparently,
That was pretty amusing, actually.
Let's see. I believe. Family Guy captured this with a joke they did years back, but never mind.
I like the final battle. It's of course the MacGuffin bracelet was going to be used as soon as it showed up within the first 30 minutes. Oh, hey, Izuku, here's this MacGuffin bracelet. Hope you don't use it later. Oh, thanks, Melissa. Overall, the movie was pretty good. I liked the action for the most part wasn't, too noisy, if that's a way I were to describe it. Kind of like how Dragon Ball Z got sometimes, where it was just, when is this action going to end? The action for the most part was good, and it wasn't on screen for too long. It allowed the characters to breathe. I like the movie only characters, like Melissa. She was pretty cool. I also like the combined, spoiler alert, the ending. I love at the ending. I like the combined plus ultra from both Izuku and All Might. It was a pretty spectacular finishing move there, especially when their fists turned into rainbows.
That sounds kind of cheesy the way you say it.
Well, something from a gay pride.
Yeah, it sort of does.
Well, that's not even something that you should even bring it up. It sounds like a double down style if you say it that way. I'm like, see, you try to accuse me if I'm actually a homophobe, which I'm definitely not. But
I'm not accusing you of being a homophobe. I was making a joke.
So, that seems very I don't know, more or less uncalled for. But whatever, it's all cool.
Okay, I apologize for any offense. Mm-hmm.
No.
It's just that you have to do that. You just have to do that now in advance, otherwise you're going to be impeached 5 or 10 years later.
Yep. I understand.
The only issue I have, well, it's not so much an issue as it is like the villain. If you're a moviegoer like me, you could sort of tell who the villain was going to be right off the bat. It's like, it's not one of the weaker points of the film, but it's like, could this guy be any more obvious? But anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on it?
Should I go?
Who's gonna go?
I'll go next if you want.
Okay.
Now, granted, I wasn't sure to see. I've been told that the movie was like good. Was going to be like it was like pretty enjoyable, particularly for Lucky Chi. He particularly liked the movie, so I wasn't worried about watching it like when you and Lucky Chi made me watch that one night. That was probably the funniest, but yeah. I will admit the movie at the beginning felt a bit slow, partly because I think that's because it was trying to build up all the characters and all that stuff. Partly also the introduction of the 2 new ones. Such as the daughter and the scientist who was like a friend of All Might. I do like the sort of like parallels that Midoriya had with the female girl, but But of course, once like the bad guys started making their moves, that's when the movie started picking up pace a bit. It was actually and like Steve was saying, the action was actually pretty enjoyable. There was like breath of fresh air for like all the characters to develop and stuff. There was particularly like the moment where Midoriya and what's the daughter scientist called again?
It's Melissa. It's Melissa.
Melissa. Okay.
English, Blue Star. English.
Sorry. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Well, I'm not going to remember the name of a character that I've only seen in one movie once, but anyway. in English dub. But anyway, Melissa. But yeah. But see, I do like the bit when they're confronting her father when it's revealed that he planned like this break-in just because he wants to try and reclaim his technology. He was planning to give to All Might to give him back his like prime strength. Let's see, I thought that was quite nice. Let's see the interactions between the daughter and the Nat. I like the bad guy, even though he's pretty standard. Let's see, just I'm evil bad guy, and so probably to an extent MCU Phase 1 to Phase 2, let's see, character depth for most part. I do think he was quite, threatening with his abilities of magnetism. I suppose you could say he's a homage to Magneto in that sense. Let's see, I definitely like the final arc where you have All Might and Midoriya teaming up because you never see that in the manga. Let's see, which is like something that this movie has given us to enjoy about. Let's see that the manga can never do at this point, given that All Might's lost his powers. So if you want a Midoriya and All Might team up, this movie's the only chance you're going to have seeing it. I like how most of the other students that were used in the movie were used. I think they all had a fair share of balance. Let's see, not everyone from like class 1A got to have like screen time in the film because, well, face it, there's 20 students, you can't have them all doing it. I think all the ones that had the right choices, and even Mineta was tame compared to like the later manga chapters. But yeah, I definitely think it's like a good standalone. It's like a good first movie for My Hero. In many ways, it kind of reminds me of like The Land of Snow for Naruto. And let's see, the first Bleach movie is like a pretty enjoyable first outing. It's not like I'd say it's about but yeah, I quite enjoyed the movie. For Life, you go next.
I personally thought it was fine. It was a fine movie. It plays a lot safe. It doesn't try to take that much risk. Supposedly Kohi was behind the scenes, so if that's the case, well, I mean, like it works out for the most part. But like, I kind of wish it was like a little bit more ambitious, I guess, because this is the type of thing you have seen from Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, in the standard level of like how everything goes out, how it goes to the climax, where the twists and turns. The movie did pull off like 3 plot twists within one scene, which is a little bit absurd, to be honest with you, because it didn't lead to much room to breathe or leave much room for impact. So it seems like, okay, he's a villain, but then the other guy's a real villain. Then the other guy's an actual villain that works for the other villain. And then the first villain tried to forget the third villain. And we never see the actual aftermath of it because after that, well, we end up seeing the first villain that no longer become a villain or no longer is a villain. Even though I know that context-wise, it's not really like he's really the villain. But the fact that he started this started this movie, you could say he's the antagonist for a short bit, but still, doing the 3 back to back to back is kind of absurd. And
you mean a triple cross? You mean?
Yeah, like I double cross. You're lucky for you. I triple cross. Too bad for you. I quadruple cross on you guys. Well, the other guy was more working. The other guy, but like I said, it just feels like it happened way too sudden. It's like the Naruto first movie where the actress double cross Naruto, only to double cross or triple cross the main villain. It's like, where does this come from? Why does this even need to happen? Why this has to be a twist that leads to nowhere, only for her to get closer to become a hostage later on, or immediately after?
From what I can tell, it's just an excuse to give the bad guy the key to the heat generator.
Yeah, but it could have done better, or it could have just let the bad guy to be the one to be intimidating. Like, damn, this guy did it all on his hand in his hand. It's kind of like Z from One Piece film Z. Like, kind of should have done that way. Be like, well, this guy has hell bent for it, but guy is legit strong, so why not? But anyway, it has that kind of thing. It has that formula where a lot of shonen movie tends to do, where there's like, we're gonna have something that's like overpowerful, much powerful than what the canon doing right now. Like, for example, where Dragon Ball Z did once with Lord Slug. Lord Slug was deemed as more threatening than Frieza. We have to do that because you need somebody strong or need somebody credible, and I'm using with quotation, need something credible to go against the current status of our protagonist. Even though it does resort to All Might in this case, but that's All Might. He technically held the movie, if anything, which begs the question of what the second movie can be held by. Unless Bones would find a way, we could find a way to have like a quirk that set backwards for All Might, and he could be young again for momentarily. That way, we don't have to worry about suffering our action scene, because All Might is the one that carried on even in season 3, the first half. There's a reason why people like it. But anyway, going back to the movie itself, like I said, it does play safe, but it's fine. It's enjoyable. It's a good first attempt. The side characters did the thing. Of course, the original characters is going to be the only one in development, while Deku is sharing that development more so than actually be developed. It's not like in I want to say One Piece, because technically, well, One Piece sort of, but I would say Strong World. Strong World has more of the protagonist being involved, more so than like being involved because of side character trouble, but he's being more involved because it's affecting him as well. So it's like it's pretty much he's pretty much actually feeling it. But with this movie, it's more like Naruto, where Naruto is really the one that's sending the message. He's like he's like the Jesus in the movie and just helping the friend out who's in the original cast, like Melissa and her father. So that's the case. It's not like ground. It's not like Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball movies. Well, the last 3 they actually are developed because they're canon. But yeah, in this one, there's no real risk to take because there's nothing to worry about. Since this is like you could say like yeah, it's canon because hey, this is how All Might gets his costume, or what I'm saying, his suit, whatever. But we didn't need to worry about after anything else because hey, this is before the camp arc, so there's no worries to break the laws or anything like that. It's not as risky. It's played safe, but it's not a bad thing because again, it's the first movie. Maybe it's best to try to watch yourself, but I'm hoping the second movie would take more risk or take a different direction in terms of like how to set up a plot, how to set up a narrative that differs from a usual studio in-home studio plot line. Because Bones is funny with Bones. Bones is like they're great at animation, no doubt. But whatever reason, their original story tends to be way too cliche. But that's just me. I guess it's just they don't have the right director. I know they're doing one anime right now, and it has promises. And the director is known for a lot of classic series. But anyway, that's another discussion together. So bottom line is the movie, I enjoy the movie. It's very standard. It's very straightforward, but it's enjoyable. And it does play safe. All Might was pretty cool because of the last scene. Pretty much carried the movie. The side characters are decent. The villains, they're forgettable. The villains are 100% like the bottomless version of Phase 1 Marvel Cinematic Universe villains. Probably Abomination level. No personality whatsoever. That's about it. The action scene, the action is cool. Is cool. The last one is really damn good, but that's about it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Right. So finally, that comes down to me, and I will say, going into the movie, I was curious. I wouldn't say I was excited, but I was like, it's My Hero Academia's first movie. Hearing that it was going to be canon was kind of my big thing, because I was like, okay, usually when you have like an anime film, especially for like an ongoing series like My Hero Academia, you would expect it to be like The Land of Snow or a la Bleach, Memories of Nobody. One place I don't remember its first film.
Are the Fairy Tail movies canon or not?
Huh?
Are the Fairy Tail movies canon or not?
The second one is. I know that. Yeah, Dragon Cry is canon. I'm not particularly sure about Phoenix Priestess, but hey.
Well, I know that Mashima did promote those 2 movies. I mean, you could take it, give or take, I guess, in terms of if it's canon or not.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
I always found the first one to be much better, particularly the ending. But we're not here.
Which is funny because Yeah, I'm sorry. It's funny you brought up fairy tale because I actually kind of forgot. But the first fairy tale, at least they gone differently in terms of how to handle their first movie for shonen, which is kind of strange because hey, it's fairy tale, the most cliche series of the universe.
That is
But
true.
this, but it did something different than My Hero first movie, which is pretty much the most standard level. I let Lucky Chi go.
Yeah, and so going into that, I was like, all right, so because not only is it the first My Hero Academia movie, but it's also the fact that it's canon. I'm like, all right, so I'm kind of curious as to where we were going to go because usually you hear canon, it's like, okay, you get the Dragon Cry Dream Fairy Tale, which I did like. You get last, yeah, we don't talk about that, or Boruto. Boruto's a better example of this. Yeah, so going into that, I'm like, all right, so not only is the manga still going on, but this is an in-between film, if you think about it. Like what Sparta said, it is between the the final exam arc at the end of season 2 and then going into season 3 with the summer camp arc. So this is before the whole big fight between All For One happens. And I'll say this, like, I really enjoyed the movie for what it was. I do agree with you guys on the fact that yeah, it is a little bare bones. It is safe, which I guess when it comes to anime films, especially from a manga series, as popular as My Hero, you could say that is to be expected. But then a number Fairy Tale happened, so yeah, that is actually saying quite a lot for My Hero in terms of its first movie. But overall, first impressions, I dig it for what it was. Yeah.
It's a standard, let's see, 7 to 8 out of 10 movie of fun.
More or less.
Yeah, B-movie, popcorn flick, I enjoy. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways, you could use this movie to introduce to your friends and family about, let's see, My Hero if you wanted.
But see, that's actually something I was going to bring up because because it is something, and actually this is a good way to transition into the positives, but into the positive aspect of Two Heroes. And I'll just go ahead and start that section off right now. I think one of the biggest positives that Two Heroes has is you can literally introduce it to anyone who's not into My Hero Academia, and no one would be lost or confused as to what's going on because they do a decent job of explaining who Deku is in the movie if you haven't seen the series or read the series.
Because it does feel like
that.
Sorry, I was just going to say, because it does feel like when you watch a Naruto, Bleach, or One Piece movie, it feels like, and maybe some of the older Dragon Balls, it feels like you need to know a little bit about the lore of the series so you can understand what's going on and stuff. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, see that's like a double-edged sword because I know like some people were like, it's cool that you actually see the all introduction. At the same time, it takes a lot of time of the movie to see all the introduction. So it's kind of like, damn, it takes too. Which Blue Star even mentioned himself with the pacing. It's slow because they are introducing every single character, even if many didn't really get involved. Mainly the people at the hotel, but other than that, they just show you the idea, like, okay, this is the personality, this is their quirk. Now, whenever that happens in the action, you would know why they could do it. Enjoy. That's pretty much what it does.
In some ways,
that's
in some ways, it kind of reminds me of the Road to Ninja, with when it's introducing all the reverse team. It's
right. But it helps out because you see everybody's personality and their style of fighting. You see the personality and everything. So once you go to the different world, it's hilarious because everything becomes opposite. And I'm like, I remember he was good at drawing. Why he's awful? Like you see every character, like you just saw them just now. So you're not missing the beat. You're not like losing the idea. Like, I don't get it. Why Kakashi is like all energetic? I don't get the joke. It's like, because the other version, he's actually pretty damn serious. So in this version, he's all hyped up, using Sharingan for no reason at all, and then he exhausts himself to death. Mm-hmm. So it works advantage like that. I think the best one that has done it really well was the latest Dragon Ball movie, because you literally see 30 minutes of a part one of flashback, and the way how it transitioned to understand the entire concept of the story actually really works well. So like you get the premise, you get the backstory, you get the subplot, And then when you go to the present timeline, you're ready. And it's awesome. I was like, all right, I like that. That's really damn good.
Okay,
It's not only... I'm sorry. You can go.
I really gotta see Dragon Ball Super Broly then.
Yeah, like it works for both favor. It works for the new fans and it works for the hardcore fans. Like, oh, we got the backstory. It makes sense now. And new fans would be like, oh, so that's how it works. Interesting.
Yeah, so I can actually agree with you guys on that, like, wholeheartedly. But yeah, kind of go back to the positive aspects on my end. So yeah, that's I think the biggest compliment I can give. One of the biggest compliments I can give the Two Heroes film is that you can introduce it to anyone. They'll be like, oh shit, maybe I should check out the series, and it can actually work out that way. Or if you just want to view it like a standalone movie, just be like, oh, look, that was cool. And if you know,
you could just tell them, hey, just stop at the first half of season 3, and then you'll be okay.
The only thing I think that would probably leave people wondering, like, what this is about, was see if they just only watch this movie, would see All for One involvement, where it's revealed that the bad guy is in partnership with him, because no one really knows who this All for One villain is. Except that
I mean, you could argue that.
The movie does explain who he kind of is. So he's kind of like the nemesis to All Might. So you do get, like, your little tidbits of detail as to who he is. So in case that does come to that, like, all right, cool. So, I mean, I would say if you watch it from that approach, it's like, okay, so there's not as much build up because if you're not following it from episode 1 or chapter 1, it's like, oh, okay, so there's like this really rich background behind it. Here, it's like, okay, so we get kind of the important pieces of it, which I still think is cool. I still think it's actually pretty cool that we see that. Number 2, I think my other positive for the movie is kind of, like, I really like Melissa. She's kind of cool, and I like that little connection aspect that she has with Deku and the fact that she's quirkless. But instead of, not being able to do anything, like, cry over, she's taking it in an approach where she's like, hey, I want to follow my dad's footsteps and be a scientist. That I thought was cool. Dave is a fun character. I love his interactions with All Might. The way how the class gets introduced. Like, and of course Ochiko has to be the first one to make the intro, because she just sees Melissa and Deku just, like, chatting, and she's like, you guys are having fun. I'm like, oh god.
Ochoko is jelly.
She got the Hinata treatment, like, I don't like this. I don't like this one bit.
You mean the Hinata last treatment, or just general Hinata?
What's the difference?
I would say Road to Ninja different, but then I remember that one's a little violent. I would have thought that one. But yeah, so that's a thing. Fight at the end was pretty cool. With All Might and Deku versus... Fuck, what's the villain's name?
I don't know. It's just some sort of Magneto ripoff for these.
I was thinking more of Eric ripoff, because hey, I forgot we're the studio that made Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. We have the animation and the technology to pull that crazy stunt that looks straight up from Fullmetal Alchemist. So let's do that. It's the only way the series could get more choreographed to offer. Woo!
Well, I just remembered his name right now. So his name is Wolfram, or because he kind of because he kind of looks like Makoto Shishio from Kenshin. If you look at the face, it looks kind of similar. I'm like, huh, what the hell is that?
Granted, do you think a villain named Wolfman would have some sort of wolf-like abilities?
I don't know. He must have been bored, like, you know what? I don't care. This will be my name.
Usually, I don't know, it seems like usually Koei is, like, pretty good at naming, like, his villains after their abilities, like Stain. Let's see, or All for One.
Maybe.
And maybe Overhaul, I guess.
And kind of going back to my point. So I think that was kind of cool, and seeing something that wasn't in the manga or the anime, which is All Might and Deku teaming up, that was actually cool. I thought that was actually really cool to see. The choreography was actually really good. Because I know some people tend to complain about that. Like, Fight choreography is okay, but I actually think it stood out a lot when it comes to the movie.
I think this, in many ways, I think this is what made me probably like the villain a bit more than some of the manga's villains, because the fight.
Did he say that? Oh no!
Well, it's not too hard to top it, but I don't blame Blue Star for this one.
You're right.
I mean, the villain. I mean, again, the villain is still phase 1. Yeah, but keep going, Blue Star.
Yeah, it's the villain in terms of personality is a typical MCU phase 1 villain. You mostly get minus Loki. At least, but he's enjoyable in terms of like action wise because he's pretty powerful. Probably like what you'd probably see if it was like, I don't know, sort of like, halfway or even near the end towards the series. I mean, his metal manipulation is probably similar to like, as the Wikipedia for My Hero points out, symbols like very similar to like Magneto's, like magnetism abilities. But yeah, it's definitely like Full Life said, based on like the Full Metal Alchemist fighting style, which face it, Full Metal Alchemist has some of the best fight scenes in all of anime and manga, so it's no surprise there. But yeah. It's like for a while. This is like the first time you had a villain that's actually sort of like a threat to the heroes. Heck, I'm not sure. You even see he's even able to make All Might bleed quite a bit. Yeah, and there was even some like beautiful CGI when he became like a giant metal monster of sorts. But yeah, I'm done.
Let me think of what else I actually liked. I like that everyone actually teamed up with one another. That I thought was actually kind of cool. Like because everyone, as far as the students go, well, outside of the ones that are still at UA, everyone got a moment to shine, and that I actually really really liked because, well, I don't want to go into that much details, but that is kind of an issue that occurs later on down the road. Again, keep my mouth shut for what those details are, because
you can also
do
not say anything.
The disappointed.
Well, if you want, you could make like it's better than what happens to like the K11 and Naruto and Ichigo's friends and Bleach. If you want to make that.
Well, okay, you say that part. Okay? Well, they're both dime dozens.
Steve, do you have anything you want to comment on?
In terms of like the positives,
well, pretty much in line with what you said, Lucky Chi, but I'm just gonna go into a little bit. But it's a sort of same, but not really. So I like that the cast in this movie is small enough that you basically don't need introductions to these, their backstories on all these people here. You can pretty much know right away, right off the bat, who they are. And what their, to use a pun here, what their quirks and personalities are like. I also like how the movie-only characters like Melissa and David, they pretty much, again, you don't need their entire backstories told to you. You can just see right away what kind of person that they're going to be throughout the movie. As I stated earlier, one of the really good things about this movie is the action. It's really well drawn, really well animated. It's not too noisy, where it's just like in most modern movies, action tends to eventually, when there's too much of it on screen, it tends just to be noisy and boring, and you're like, ugh, when are they going to move on? But in this movie, that's not exactly the case. The action stays on screen just long enough and is exciting enough to keep your attention on the screen.
In an ironic twist, the movie works advantage for the way how My Hero has been, because like My Hero doesn't offer too much of like physical contact. Like you don't expect like Infinity War choreograph. Like it's like, my God,
right?
This guy. Yeah, it's like you don't need to since the movie is condensed to an hour and 30 minutes, it goes speed up right away. You may think that's a bad thing, but on the other hand, because you don't need to put too much imagination to the creativity, you could actually work to his favor in terms of enjoyment. So it actually does work out for My Hero, the way how his style. But that's just me.
Let's see, what's another positive I can give this movie? Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been, because I don't exactly have the resources right now to look back on this, but I think this is one of the very few instances where we see a young All Might, and it was a treat seeing him, in the beginning of the movie there.
It's the first time we've ever seen All Might this young. Heck, let's see, we've never seen All Might with like just normal eyes. It's usually like dark shaded when he's in his like super powered form.
Another positive I can give, but this is only a cheesy positive. Like when Melissa gives, Izuku the gauntlet, like could it scream any more obvious that gauntlet was going to be used during the ending fight? Like, here's a gauntlet that'll let you use 100% of your power for only 3 punches.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about positive, we're still in the positive, but I don't want to jump ahead. But yeah, that part is like a part of the cons that we're gonna go over soon. But keep going.
But because of that gauntlet, we get one of the best team up punches between Izuku and All Might. Especially when they punch the living fuck out of Wolfram. I'm like, jeez. even Goku might have a hard time against that. But I digress. The voice acting in this movie, at least in the Japanese version, it's spot on. Obviously, all the Japanese voice actors have grown accustomed to voicing these characters, so they know how exactly, what kind of performance they need to give. And it's admittedly, Melissa's acting is a little bit awkward at times, but otherwise, her voice actress gets the job done. And I'm sure that the English voice acting is just as good, but I've yet to watch it in English, because I need to buy the Blu-ray. Yeah, those are my positives on the movie. I suppose if you want my negatives,
actually, we're going to dabble into the negative next.
Okay. Well then, anyone else got any positives left to give before I start off giving off the negatives? Or yay, nay, yes, no, maybe so.
Anything?
I'm good.
All right, so I guess I'll start off with the negatives. This one's really not so much a negative as it is a nitpick. Like I said earlier, if you're a movie buff guy like me who just constantly watches films over and over, going to the movie theaters or watching them at home, you sort of could tell right away who the bad guy was going to be. And I mean, it wasn't exactly obvious like the Gauntlet was, but still, to a guy like me, it's like the way he acts sometimes and the way he's drawn, it's like, you could have added a little bit more subtlety to this character, but for what it's worth, at least the twist of the movie is surprising enough. Anyway, another negative. I don't know. I don't know.
Want me to go next, Steve, and just so because you're done or something, or
probably. That's the only negative I got. Otherwise, anything other negatives I got, they're really just superficial.
Let's see.
Stuff like the runtime,
Fair enough.
But anyway, go ahead, Blue Star.
Fair enough. Well, I've already kind of said how, let's see, Wolfman as like sort of like a genetic villain from MCU thing. Well, in terms of fighting, he's, let's see, quite impressive, but let's see. But I do, let's see, one thing I will say that's disappointing is that the villain's henchmen are also probably just as bland, if not blander. Granted, the only ones that kind of stand out as like two that, let's see, one which, let's see, that goes up against Bakugo and Todoroki, but it's more of their quirks. Well, one goes full on Purple Hulk, another who looks like some sort of like alien design kind of thing. Well, not really alien as in the movie Alien, but it's just one of those weird designs that Koei sometimes does. Has this sort of like wind blasting ability. I mean, the fight between them and Todoroki, Bakugo, and Kirishima is actually pretty fun. But let's see. But you don't. But granted, let's see. But let's see. Outside of that, there's not really anything I'd call uniquely styled. Granted, they all look like armored thugs, so that probably doesn't help. That probably doesn't help because most villains from like an anime or manga movie usually all have their unique styles. For My Hero Academia, they're all wearing the same outfit, with the exception of like the main bad guy who has like a sort of white coat on and a sort of metal mask covering his face.
Well, maybe if it was Oda that did it, it would stand out always differently. But
yeah. But yeah. Well, granted, I think even Naruto, with some of the villains looking kind of like wearing a similar themed clothing, even they sometimes looked quite unique from each other.
Yeah.
Let's see. So there's that. Let's see. Another criticism I suppose I have. I've already complained about the movies. Let's see, being a bit slow at the beginning. I suppose. Let's see. This is probably more of a petty nitpick, but let's see. Granted, let's see. It's not as bad as what the manga later becomes, but there are some bits with Mineta where I'm just like, enough with like your perverted techniques. But like I said, that's a minor nitpick. I suppose
he wants that harem, man. He wants that harem.
Oh yeah, it's like I do. Let's see. I suppose I do feel like I agree with Full Life. Like I do wish that. Let's see. Whatever happened to that guy, the assistant of like Dave? Let's see. I wish we kind of learned what that. Let's see. Even if it was just like a post-credit scenes, but let's see. For a second, I thought he was dead, but he is still alive when it's like just as Midoriya is leaving to go chase the bad guys. I suppose the other villain, where like the guy who can make blades out of his arms, is also kind of generic, really. I mean, he was just there so Midoriya had someone else to beat up before fighting the final big bad. I guess, I don't know, this might be a nitpick, but I do kind of feel like the way All Might was like captured and just strapped thing, I suppose it's supposed to feel kind of like desperate and intense situation, but I guess I just wasn't really feeling it until
it felt
like
convenient, if you ask me.
Yeah, it felt like a bit convenient and just not really that believable in some sense. But I don't know. I suppose they had to try and find a way to prevent the heroes from moving, like trying to take the entire thing as hostages. Other bad guys you get in the series is like the controlled drones, the security drones, but other than that, that's it. And I think that's pretty much all I got to say about the negatives of the movie.
All right. For the negative, it's funny because like this is the type of movie where it's like when I say play safe, it's like it's safe. It's in a safe ground. Like it's one of those type of movies where like for some reason a person would criticize a movie and there's only one thing to criticize, and you will ask yourself, well, that means this movie is nearly perfect. It's like, well, if you look at it out of context, sure. But when you realize how much weight that one con is, it actually doesn't really say it. It's more like if I could find one negative, and like if you find one negative, does that mean it would just be a 9 out of 10 movie? No. It depends on the weight of it. So in this case, it would be the predictability, because it's a very predictable movie. Because of that, it plays safe, and it sounds like it hides away from all the flaws in terms of writing, maybe a possible plot hole, a possible inconsistency, but you're not taking any risk, and you're not doing anything going beyond or going something that you want to try to take a chance on your writing skills, see what you can present, see what you can execute. So with this case, it plays safe, and that's fine in terms of entertainment. But outside of that, it's like a popcorn flick in the summertime, but in a normal level, in a normal standard level, like probably like the minimum level of the MCU movie, like whatever's the decent movie of it. But then you want to see something that's like a Winter Soldier quality. This is not it because it's not really that or that, or it's not really that depth in there. This is not the movie. This is more like the Incredible Hulk, whether you like it or not. But hey, at least the action scene is kind of cool. But it's not like Winter Soldier. Like, damn, this is very thoughtful. This is very depth, deep, and stuff like that. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like how this guy said it. He gave an example about like how Hollywood summer films are evolving. It's like you either get Transformer, which is pretty much explosion, action, hot girls, but it's all cool because people just want to relax. Or you want to see a movie that's smart and think more and have more thoughts to it, has more energy to it. That would be like the recent MCU. Well, I'm not sure about Captain Marvel, but like Infinity War for a lot of fans, or like the Black Panther for the critics, especially for the critics in terms of its culture, the way how the characters were presented. They were a little bit more than just a comic book guys. They were more presented like a characters of a movie itself. It's kind of like that. You wanted to have that kind of way. So with My Hero Academia, you could just say it's predictable and it's just pretty straightforward, standard. That's all the negative you could really say. And again, it's not really a bad thing, but it is a lot of weight to say like this movie cannot be as perfect as you wish to be, or this movie is like the top tier shonen movie, or even just an anime movie. I mean, nobody will go that far, but well, some people will, but that's just them, and that's not my opinion to say that. But my point is, it's like these type of movies are basically your summer film, and that's not a bad thing. But it is like something like a one and done thing. Like after you're done with the movie, you probably just be like have fun with it, but you probably won't go back to it unless you're a hardcore fan, and that's fine. But that's for me. Like I just see the movie as a fun time to kill off, and that's the end of it. There was more after that. The villains, again, we already said many times, the villains are just whatever. They're just there just to be obstacles. They're just there for Deku and All Might to pull the tag team that we would never ever see in any form, unless the next movie will find an excuse to bring back All Might. Well, it's complicated, but the point is, we'll see what happens. All Might carried it because it does have himself as focus, especially the flashback, which Blue Star forgot to mention. That is, the movie started off with a flashback, seeing All Might as a young days, and it was pretty neat to see how he is in the young days. Especially if you get the movie Blu-ray, you actually get like a 2 to 3 minute snippets of his flashback where he lost his mentor, which is actually pretty neat. It was short, really short, but it was cool nonetheless. But yeah, he pretty much carried the movie. Again, the protagonists, the side characters, they were fine. They were definitely fine, but they were just more of an entertainment and just more like, hey, your favorite character, the Bakugo? Well, guess what? He's in the big screen. So there's not much of a giving them problems that's not just involved with fighting. It's not like how in Naruto movie.
Like, there's not much of like a character piece for development, if that makes any sense.
Right. It's like Bleach, the first movie. When the Soul Society character shows up, they're not here to give development. They're not here to give like a dilemma of their own. They're just here to kick ass because that's what you want. And that's fine. That's definitely fine. But like you get movies like Shippuden 3, even. Like you got Shikamaru try to ask himself, is this the right thing to do? What Asuma would do, because Asuma is gone. So he's asking himself, is this the right thing to do? Stop Naruto from saving his mentor, his teacher, or should I do the way how the law works? And then Gaara's the same thing. So it's like they give them more peace. They give them more character involvement. But again, this movie is more like everybody's just want a piece of action, and that's fine. But again, it's not that much of a depth going in. It's a standard, straightforward movie. As soon as the action kicks off, it all kicks off from there. There's no stopping. There's a little breaks because of the plot twist and whatnot. But after that, it's just pretty much straightforward, easy, run-of-the-mill style. It's nitpick wise, I would say this. Nitpick wise are two things. I wish the world that they build with the Sky World, Sky Island, I don't know what they call it. I wish they put more emphasis on that. And I felt like they missed the opportunity to have like more characters to get involved with the world, that you could use your quirk at no matter there's no consequences to use a quirk, because even if you don't have a license, you can still use your quirk. It's fine. I feel like they were setting up to be like have like an extravaganza where maybe a lot of characters will actually get involved, like bystanders. Like would be kind of cool. But instead, it's just used to excuse for Deku and his classmates to use the quirk, main because they don't have the license. This is not like Naruto where it's like, oh shoot, we're in a mission and stuff got crazy. I tell you what, I'm gonna raise the mission high, and you have to do your duty right now. In this case, it's like, well, we could use our quirk. We don't need to worry about our license, so we're not gonna get in trouble at all. So I wish that I felt like that was a missed opportunity that they should have go further deep with it. I don't know. I feel like it could have pulled a One Piece where like every citizen's get involved in some way somehow, like Dressrosa arc, but in a more quick pace way. So it probably would have been satisfying.
It's
It was a
a-
good opportunity.
One thing I did find interesting about the world building of My Hero is that we were confirmed that the rest of the world outside Japan, crime rate is around 20%, while with My
Yeah.
Hero, oh my, it's 6%.
Yeah. Oh, well, sometimes it's hard to show because you can only be told.
Yeah.
In that series. That's like one of the main flaws of series is the world building is always bleak. But we're not
Yeah.
talking about that. Well, the movie itself,
Focuses on Japan, not the rest of the world.
right.
So
But not only that, it just seems so too contained. Like it's so limited. But again, we're not gonna go talk about that. Oh, the other nitpick. Now, this is not a just jab at Boom Studio, but it's more like kind of how Madhouse did it with themselves as well with Hunter x Hunter, with 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 My Hero Academia movie. Like it definitely looks nice. It's definitely clean. The thing is, either Bones was already ahead of his time to do everything clean, or they don't have that much to go further beyond. Like it's not like take Naruto for example. When Naruto Road to Ninja, it's definitely a studio movie, a studio parody movie. It's definitely a studio parody movie with the animation being a similar quality as the whatchamacallit, TV itself. But then you look at Road to Boruto. Then you look at the Boruto movie. They're using the top tier guy, but it definitely looks like a movie. It definitely feels like a movie. The atmosphere feels different. The tone feels different. Maybe the color palette feels different as well. With My Hero, as great as it looks, TV wise and the movie wise as well, it doesn't feel that much difference from a television. It doesn't feel that much television, including the directions, including how the cinematography. It feels straight off from the TV series, the way how it pans out, the way how it changed the scene, the way how it even the soundtrack and more for the most part, it doesn't feel like you're watching a movie style, like Toei animation. I know a lot of people don't like the TV animation because oh my god, they butchered One Piece and everything. Like I get that, but it is night and day when you look at One Piece in the anime and then One Piece in the movie in a movie theater. It's like damn, it's like yeah, like the camera works is different. Like Film Z was the most obvious. This feels like a movie because everything is changed up. The camera works, the panning, the transition, everything. It feels like very movie quality. But with this one, it just feels like an extended TV episode. It's not a bad thing. It's not a jab. It's not too much of a jab. But
and
it's
kind of reminds me of the animation quality of Road to Ninja, where it felt like a standard Shippuden episode.
right, exactly. That's what it was. I mean, even the last does stand out differently from the TV animation. I'll give them that, but that's the only good thing about that movie. So,
Right. Well, there's also that brief fight scene with Sakura Sai and Shikamaru taking on a giant crab
Right.
monster. That was fun.
right, but like the quality of the last does feel like a movie from a lot of parts. Even the lighting definitely looks great in there. But that's the only good part. So going back to this one, again, this is just a nitpick of mine. It is still technically great, but it is not doesn't scream that much of a movie. I guess the only thing that screams a movie is somehow I was gonna say Boruto. Somehow Deku and All Might could mind read each other. I know they don't really do that, but they do speak out of their mind. They're like, listen, All Might. I'm like, he's not talking. He's just like pretty much saying from his head, like giving the idea. It's like, listen, All Might. I'm gonna go up there. We're gonna stop the villain ourselves. No, you cannot do that, boy. Are you crazy? This is dangerous for you. I would do it, but it's all in their mind. I'm not sure what's that about. Not sure what kind of technique is that about, but whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have. It's like it's a standard movie. It's not a bad thing, but at the same time, it's a double edged its own kind. Villains is whatever. We had to search his name, so that tells you everything. Everything else is fine. It just plays very safe and it's predictable. And the villain plot twist is kind of you could see it miles away, but it's weird how to do a triple whammy. I guess they were trying to do what Film Gold did, but it kind of feels way unnecessary by the time we get to the second part. So
yeah, once you see them in the room working on something, you know that they're probably up to something not really good.
Yeah. I mean, Bones, like I said, like Bones did this. Bones did is a weird thing is Bones did the same thing with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood movie. I mean, it was enjoyable, but that plot twist was getting convoluted by the time they revealed the fourth commander, and I'm like,
I've yet to see that movie, so don't spoil the plot.
Okay, it's similar, but it is baffling. I'm like, all right, what do you want me to believe in? Like it got messy, but yeah, I won't spoil that.
But yeah, let's see. I do wonder what let's see. I suppose one thing about due to the fact that it is between the manga things, it can't really do any game-changing events, unlike movies post the manga series serializations ending. So I suppose that's so for the most part they can only play safe. But I do like how it did build in some stuff in the world, such as who built in All Might's suit, and all that stuff. But yeah, Lucky Chi, you got anything to say?
In terms of the negatives, I actually kind of have to agree with everyone's point on this. The biggest one I can think of is, like, again, one positive I could say is, like, okay, the beginning's a little slow, but then it picks up. But I feel the movie could have been maybe an extra 10 or 15 minutes longer just to flesh out that island. Like what Sparta said. We could have gotten a little more insight as to, like, yeah, we get it in passing from Melissa and from All Might in terms of, like, that you can use the quirks. But I think that would have benefited a lot had we actually seen it, you know? Like, say you have Deku and Melissa and the gang just, like, they're, like, walking around. You see them, like, just using their quirks freely, not worrying about, like, any issues with the law or anything. Like, that, to me, I'm like, all right. I think it could have benefited from that. And exploring, like, what that island was, you know? That's the one thing I would say. Other thing, again, in a similar stance, the villains, like, when you look at them character-wise, and they don't stand out exactly all that well. I mean, Wolfram, ability-wise, he's cool. Character-wise, it's like, alright, so he's kind of like generic villain 365. Answer whatever number you guys want to. But yeah, he's kind of like that. So you don't necessarily... There's not a lot you could do. And yeah, I know it's double-edged sword when it's like, okay, it is canon. It's in between two particular arcs, which is, which can work. But at the same time, because you know what happens after that point, because it's in between the stories, there's not a lot of suspense that can be left there. I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying the movie has to be suspenseful, but it's like, oh, okay. So, that's one thing I'll say. Again, while the whole armband thing that Melissa gave Deku was cool, the gauntlet, I liked it. Was it a little convenient? Sure. I mean, that's kind of a minor nitpick on my end, but...
The only purpose was to make Midoriya fight at 100% without no setbacks or when he and All Might teamed up.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're up to. And once it served its purpose, it got destroyed. And we're probably not going to see it again unless we get another movie, maybe.
No, but to be fair, I already knew that was going to happen with the gauntlet.
Yeah, because it's like this movie is.
The second it gets brought up, I already know. I'm like, all right, so something's going to happen to it. Either it gets destroyed, or Deku gives it back to Melissa for
Further development.
because it's it's hers. Which, honestly, I think if she had kept it and used it for further research, I just think that would have been kind of cool. Because it's canon, it could have been brought back for future storylines, but hey, it got destroyed, so not like it's going to do anything in the future. In terms of other negatives, I don't think there's that much I can think of at the top of my head. Outside of that, I mean, there is Mineta, but he was kind of tame compared to what happens later on down the story, so I didn't mind Mineta that much. But there's that. Although, you could say it's a little convenient that all the class members had a way of showing up on that island that was just supposed to be when it was supposed to be just Deku and All Might, but still, I think it's fun just having them there. But other than that, I think that's just pretty much all the negatives I've got when it comes to Heroes. I mean, again, it's the first movie, and yeah, you could say like there's a lot riding on the movie. You could say that because it is canon in that regard, but it still worked for what it was. And in saying that, how about we all go ahead and get into our overall thoughts? So, Steve, would you like to start off?
Jeez, what can I say that hasn't already been said? Well, let's see here. Overall, movie was pretty good. Wasn't like I said earlier, it wasn't groundbreaking in like movie storytelling or even anime movie storytelling, but for what it was, for being the first movie to an anime series, it was pretty good. It served, it served its purpose, and obviously, it's laying the groundwork for what for future movies to build off of, and hopefully we do get more future movies. There probably will be more future movies, no doubt about that. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't know what else to say.
I guess I could say my thoughts on the movie. I'll admit, it was for most part the standard shonen anime thing, but it did have things that you wouldn't get to see in the manga that you didn't get to see in the manga. For example, Midoriya and All Might teaming up, which is never going to happen. You got something that could potentially happen in the manga, but it's just not been shown yet, such as Midoriya interacting with someone else who is quirkless, since in the manga, the only person we ever known to be quirkless besides him was All Might. But stuff like that. Then Stan and all that stuff. In many ways, it's like a pretty fun first outing movie, like Naruto, Ninja Class, and Around the Snow. Like I said earlier, it's a 7 to 8 out of 10 movie. But in many ways, it's perfect to introduce some people to My Hero without actually getting into the manga or anime. And it's also canon. And funny enough, it's getting a manga adaptation, so there's that to look forward to on the 2nd of May.
Money, 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 money. Money.
In some ways, who knows? Maybe this manga adaptation will be better than the one that we got in Boruto. But yeah.
Those are fighting words, I sense.
Oh yeah, well, who cares? No, not many people like the Boruto manga adaptation of the movie. They prefer the anime. But yeah. It's a fun movie. Yeah, I recommend people go watch it.
Overall, it was a safe but enjoyable movie for anybody to, pretty much go for it and just watch it. Time is different in terms of what's going on for My Hero, but don't let that push you away, because it does have enjoyable moments in the first couple of seasons, partially. So it's like, this is a good way to introduce yourself, even if you get lost in some form of way, because everybody's a little bit up to date, or everybody has this quirk that you don't even know how this works or how they work. But that's the intriguing part comes in, because you'd be like, huh, I want to see the anime now. I haven't figured out how it works. So you could go see the anime because of the movie will actually encourage you in some form of way. But like as a standalone movie that has like a replay value, it could be much lower than anybody would think, because it is a very predictable movie. It goes by the numbers. It has a weak villain. The side characters are fine. They're good. Um, Everything else is like pretty standard level. I know I say this many times, but that's just because that's what it is. But it is enjoyable nonetheless. So you do if you really don't if you haven't seen the movie, or you're kind of curious, I say go for it. I mean, there's nothing to it's an hour 30 minutes long, I think, and then it has a good pace. It's a little slow in the beginning, but it depends on your criteria. If you're a person that unfamiliar with the series, the beginning pace would be okay. If you're very familiar with it, the beginning pace it could be a little bit fine for anybody who just enjoys seeing the characters be on the big screen. But if you really understand what they're trying to do with the whole reintroduction, it could slow down a lot of things. But regardless, it is a safe film. Um, you know, you can see it with Blu-rays and all that stuff, and yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, so in terms of me, if I had to give it an overall rating, I would say the movie. You could say it borderline's great, but I think for the most part, it's like a good to good plus rating. That's honestly where I would give the movie, because, like what many of us have said throughout the podcast so far, it's definitely a fun movie, and it could definitely be a movie that gets you into the My Hero Academia series. No doubt about that. And it's a good standalone movie. Yeah, it has its issues with the villains being a little generic, and it doesn't really take so much of an advantage of exploring the island per se. But I do think it does make up for the fact that you have a couple interesting characters like Melissa, getting her interactions with Deku, getting All Might's past a little bit with Dave, and understanding his role in the story. And, when you get the secondary characters too, it's fun. And I think overall, I think that's where my stance is on the movie. It's a fun movie, and it is neat that it's canon, but I just wouldn't expect too much out of the movie. Don't go into the movie like, oh, it's going to be the greatest thing ever, because then you might be a little let down. You might be a little let down just if you go in with that kind of expectations on the movie itself. But like I said, overall, the movie would be a good to good plus rating. It was cool to see All Might versus Deku. That would have been cool too. All Might and Deku versus Wolfram, the forgettable guy with the name. Yes, him. Ties League of Villains, ties with All for One. Neat, but could have been done without it? Sure. But like I said, overall, the movie is good to good plus. And that's honestly where I stand with Two Heroes. Does it have good replay value? Maybe. It depends on. I guess it just depends on who you talk to. For me, every now and then, who knows? But yeah, that's ultimately where my stance lies when it comes to Two Heroes. And that brings us over to our final part of the podcast, which is going to be our expectations for. So I'd say season 2. Wow. For movie 2, because believe it or not, guys, it actually happened. We actually have an announcement for movie 2. This is actually going to be an open discussion, so everybody can chime in. So, what do you guys think? In terms of expectations.
I think the movie will probably take place some point after, like, the Hideout Raid arc. The only question is when. Will it be before the joint training arc, or will it be after the joint training arc? That's the only question. I'm also wondering if perhaps maybe they'll bring in the League of Villains into this movie instead of just having like a brief cameo of All for One. Let's see when it's revealed the bad guy was in league with him. I'd like to see the League of Villains pop up. Let's see. I hope to see some of the other small members of Class 1A get a little spotlight in this movie. Let's see. Maybe Mr. Aizawa shows up. Let's see. I'm hoping for something left for All Might to do if he's quirkless. But yeah. Let's see. Maybe even build upon something that the manga hasn't really tackled much. One interesting thing it could do is perhaps maybe show Midoriya's dad, unless that's going to be something that a future manga plotline much later. Who knows? But yeah. I hope that the next movie takes a few more risks, yeah. But then again, let's see. If all movies of My Hero are going to be canon, I suppose, let's see. I guess it really depends on what part of the timeline it goes. But yeah. That's
be the last Jedi of My Hero.
It subverted our expectations. Okay, now, let's see. I'll let Full Life or Steve or take a go before Full Life and I get into an argument about The Last Jedi.
I guess I'll go. It's gonna be a little bit tricky because I feel like maybe Bones will find a way to try to have All Might involved. Depends on the timeline, though. This all depends on the timeline. If the timeline is after that arc, well, let's just say we won't see All Might. And if we can't see him, I would like to know how they can carry it. Because, with all due respect, in my opinion, without him, it's kind of hard to make it enjoyable as it is. Because All Might was like a symbol of charisma. So to me, in my opinion, I don't feel that much from the characters, the main characters. But
like after that is up to Raid arc, it kind of slowly dwindled.
Right. It's like there's no charisma. There's no real person. Oh, they have personality. That's like the main draw. Even though it's always going to stick into that same dimension, but to each their own. My point is, I feel like if they're going to do it without All Might, because again, Bones found a way to excuse the teamwork between All Might and Deku in the movie with that glove, as many pointed out. As they say, it's the only excuse, but they had to make an excuse. It has to make a convenient way, but it works to their favor for not only for a spectacular view, but like a cool demonstration that would never happen in the manga or anywhere else. But hey, at least they made it work somehow. So now we're going to have a second movie. It depends on the timeline. If it's after the timeline that's happened in the movie, or even like pretty much after that arc that we just mentioned, the higher rate arc. If it's after that, it's gonna be tricky because again, none of these characters doesn't have that much of charisma nearly as All Might. All Might, he was like the topic. He was like the main attraction of the series, especially in season 3, the first half, and that's where he was like pretty much bona fide his character as like one of the best one in the series, or if not the best, because he just has that charisma. He's like a guy, like if you see him wrestling, you will root for him. You don't care if he sucks at wrestling. You don't care if he's not that good at technical. I'm not saying All Might sucks at it because he's definitely great, but my point is, you would cheer for him because he has so much. He's larger than life. That's what he is. Now, if you remove him, how can the movie work? It can work, but it's going to take a lot of input. And I would like to see if Kohi gets involved again. I would like to see what he can do to make the movie enjoyable. Like just as with All Might. I would like to see that because personally, it only feels enjoyable in the current series, in the current manga. It only feels enjoyable when it focuses elsewhere more so than the students. That's not a compliment. It's a troubling thing that needs to be fixed. But that's just me. So I would like to see what Bones could do with All Might if they are going to do that. If they're going to remain back to the same timeline as this one, then I guess they got nothing much to worry about. But if they do it afterward, they either going to try to find an excuse to have All Might to go back to his 100%, even if it's momentarily, or they're going to just actually do it without him, which will be interesting to see to keep it interesting. Unless they're gonna go all out Fast and Furious, just go straight action, don't even worry about any consistency, just go ball blazing. It could work out that way too, but it all depends how they're gonna direct this. So I'm actually interested how they're gonna do this. But first, I'm more interested who's gonna be involved in the movie, and then let's see what happens after that.
All right, guess I'll go. I guess my predictions for movie 2. Well, first I'm not gonna exactly predict when and where this next movie is gonna take place in between which arcs. Instead, I at least want to speculate on what the plot is exactly going to be. I want the plot to basically revolve around challenging Izuku's ideas on what a hero is supposed to be. Now, I'm not talking about him clashing with Bakugo, or maybe him just being, basically pulling a Spider-Man 2 and, where he just loses his powers for a brief period of time, and then gets them back. I just want, like, what the second Naruto movie did, where the villain tried to create this perfect utopian society built on the blood, sweat, and tears of the people he captured. I want the movie to challenge Izuku's notions of being a hero, and I want him to grow from that, and maybe, hopefully, it will actually reflect in the anime more so in the manga. But who knows? Also, probably this next movie is going to be called My Hero Academia 3 Heroes instead of 2 Heroes. Also, maybe let's throw in another love interest. Why not? We got Melissa. Why not? I don't know. Why not a redhead this time around? Like Mary Jane.
You just hit the jackpot. So, just had to make that joke.
BlueStar, come into my office as soon as we're done with this podcast.
Maybe also, I don't know. Maybe like with the first Shippuden movie, maybe tease the idea of All Might actually dying. That's if they don't already do it within the manga. Like just have him, like, through a vision, just have him die, and like Izuku becomes all paranoid and whatnot over it. Who knows? Anyway, that's what I want out of my movie too.
Let's see. So, in terms of getting a movie 2, I'm kind of on the same boat as you, Steve, and that I'm not sure where the second movie will take place in, and it'll be kind of surprising to know what that'll be. But in terms of what I would like to see the second movie, maybe taking a couple of risks instead of being a little safe. I mean, again, I get why 2 Heroes are safe. I get that. It's the first movie, but people are going to draw fairy tales in comparison because that first movie wasn't exactly safe. But hey, you get what you get. Get some things for Izuku. Maybe that could further develop him along as a protagonist. Not that he hasn't been getting it, because he has. It's just been a little slow getting towards that progression. So maybe that's what the second movie could do. And who knows? Maybe for all you Ocha Deku shippers, or Izu Ocha, or Green Tea, as what the official name is. I'm still not going to get over that. Yeah, that. Maybe you guys might get a tease in it. Who knows? Villain-wise, again, not entirely sure. as to who we gonna get. I'm kind of hoping we get Shigaraki involved in some way because
he's your boy.
well, besides that, he's got potential. Honestly, I think because of how he's set up to be within the story, I think there's a lot you could do having him involved in a second movie. Who knows? Maybe if All Might and Deku teamed up in this movie, two heroes, maybe in the second movie we can have Shigaraki and Deku join forces. Wouldn't that be a treat? That'd be cool, actually, now that I think about it. But you gotta put him in like a very, very desperate situation for that to happen.
You sure making him into a Sasuke?
I didn't think about that, but that's a good point, actually.
I mean, it's kind of a little too pushy. It's more believable with Bakugo to do it, even though, some people, well, not some, you guys would be like, oh, I don't want this. A lot of people would be like, oh, Sham. So, seems like there's more likely of that than your premise.
I mean, what, it's like Shigaraki gonna show up toward the tail end of a movie, and then Deku runs after him like, Shigaraki, wait, what are you doing here? He just ignores him the entire time.
What was your phone?
Let's not forget that did happen for Shippuden movie 2.
That's true.
That did happen.
That's true.
Who knows? But that would be cool. But yeah, honestly, in terms of me, when it comes to my expectation for movie 2, I'm just gonna wait and see what we get. And just go from there. So overall, that is basically our thoughts on My Hero Academia, the movie Two Heroes. It was quite a movie. That's one way to put it. I think it was quite a movie to talk about, get everyone discussion. Pretty much, I think for the most part, we were all on the same page when it came to it, but we also did have some things that were a little different from each individual perspective, and I thought that was pretty informative and cool to know about. Sparta, Blue Star, Steve, it was really great having you guys on board for podcast, especially for My Hero Academia.
Yeah, who'd have thunk it?
I guess I was gonna start off like anybody, but yeah, no, it was really great to talk about it.
I
had a good time.
I'm looking forward to possibly discussing more movies in the future.
That's true, yeah, because it is the first Lucky Chi movie podcast. That's the thing. Who knows? Maybe Rise of Skywalker. Ooh. Nope. Maybe in the future. Unless we get a divisive reaction. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that. So, till then, everyone, that is pretty much it. I'm Lucky Chi 7.
I'm LK and MJH, also known as Steve.
Sparda3g.
Also known as For Life.
BlueStarSaber.
The Cursed Child. And I'm Lucky Chi 7 plus Ultra.